The sound of glass shattering was the first thing I heard after my father's voice. Then the silence, the kind that sucks the air out of the room, leaving nothing but the faint hum of the Christmas lights. I stared at him, my chest heaving, fingers still clenched around the torn envelope. My mother wouldn't meet my eyes. My sister, hands trembling, reached for her wine, but even that small act felt like betrayal. "Say that again," I whispered. "Say it to my face." My father's jaw tightened. "You should leave, Daniel. And never come back." For a second I thought I was dreaming. The fireplace crackled, the smell of roasted turkey hung in the air, and soft Christmas carols played in the background. The absurd normalcy of it all made it worse. What did I do? My voice cracked. What the hell did I do? No one answered. Only my sister, Emily, glanced at me, her eyes glassy with guilt. And then I understood. Not all at once, but in fragments, like a photograph burning from the edges inward. I turned to her. "It's about her, isn't it?" Emily's lips parted, trembling. "Daniel." "No," I cut her off. "Say it. Tell me the truth." My father slammed his palm on the table. "Enough." But it wasn't enough. Not after weeks of unanswered calls, the awkward glances, the sudden distance in my wife's voice when she said she'd be working late. Not after she started spending more time with Emily, saying how much she needed sisterly advice. I'd ignored it all, because betrayal was something that happened to other people, not to me. 2 hours earlier I'd walked into that house thinking maybe, just maybe, we were okay again. My wife, Hannah, had smiled at me in the car, resting her hand on mine. The touch had felt warm, grounding, familiar. "Let's not fight tonight," she'd said softly. "It's Christmas." I'd nodded, grateful for the peace offering. I wanted to believe we were healing. But now, staring at the half-torn envelope on the floor, the one I'd found slipped under my father's napkin, I realized peace was just another lie. It wasn't even subtle, just a photo. Single photo. Emily and Hannah. In my house. In my bed. The date stamp at the bottom mocked me. 3 weeks ago. The room blurred. "You." I could barely form words. "You slept with my wife." Emily's face crumpled. "Daniel, it wasn't supposed to." "Don't." I shouted, the sound raw, animal. "Don't make excuses." Hannah, sitting at the end of the table, finally spoke. Her voice was quiet, controlled, too controlled. "You weren't there, Daniel. You shut me out for months. You buried yourself in work, in your bitterness." I laughed bitterly. "So that's your justification. You slept with my sister because I didn't text enough." Her eyes hardened. "It wasn't about sex. It was comfort." "Comfort." I repeated, the word poisonous on my tongue. "You destroyed my family for comfort." No one moved. My mother sobbed quietly, but no one comforted her either. I looked around that table, the candles flickering, the plates half filled, the air heavy with everything unsaid. "I gave up everything for you," I whispered to Hannah. "For this marriage. Was. And you." Stop. The weight of it all pressed down on me. Years. The sacrifices. The memories that now felt like ghosts. Emily reached for me. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I swear." I jerked away. "Don't touch me." When I finally stood, the room tilted. The silence felt like a coffin. "I can't stay here," I said, my voice hoarse. My father's eyes were cold, unyielding. "That's why we asked you to leave. There's nothing left to fix." I stared at him, disbelief cutting through the fog. "You're taking their side." He didn't answer, and that silence told me everything. He already knew. Maybe he'd known all along. I turned toward the door, but Hannah spoke again, her tone fragile, almost pleading. "Daniel, please. Don't." I grabbed my coat. "Just don't." I walked out before she could say another word. The night air was sharp, slicing through the haze of anger and disbelief. Snowflakes drifted lazily through the air, landing on my sleeves, melting instantly. The world outside looked peaceful, almost cruelly so. I stood in the driveway, staring at the house, the windows glowing with warm light, silhouettes moving inside. My family, my wife, my sister. All of them still together. And me, the outsider. For a moment I thought about going back. Demanding answers. Closure. But what could they possibly say? That it just happened. That they didn't mean to. Words wouldn't fix the hole that had opened in my chest. I climbed into my car and sat there, engine off, breath fogging the glass. I tried to remember the last time Hannah looked at me the way she'd looked at Emily tonight. It wasn't love, it was guilt, desperation. But it was still more emotion than she'd shown me in months. I pressed my head against the steering wheel. Somewhere between heartbreak and numbness, I started to laugh. Quietly at first. Then harder. Until my chest hurt and my vision blurred again. I'd spent my whole life trying to be the good one. The dependable brother. The loving husband. The son who showed up, who stayed calm, who forgave. And this was my reward. When I finally drove off, the road was empty. The snow fell thicker, erasing my tire tracks as quickly as they formed. I didn't know where I was going, only that I needed to keep driving until the pain dulled enough to breathe again. At a red light, my phone buzzed. Text. From Hannah. Please don't do anything stupid. I never meant for this to destroy you. I stared at it for a long time before deleting it. Then I tossed the phone into the passenger seat. She'd already destroyed me. But the worst part wasn't her. Or even Emily. It was knowing my family chose to protect the ones who broke me. That they'd rather lose me than face what they'd done. By morning I was miles away, parked by a frozen lake. The sun rose weakly through the fog, turning the ice pale gold. I got out, my breath clouding in the cold air, and watched the light spread across the horizon. In my coat pocket I still had the photo, torn in half now. One piece showed Hannah's face. The other, Emily's hand resting against her shoulder. I let the wind take them both. The halves fluttered out over the ice before sinking into the snow. For the first time in hours I felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness. Not yet. Maybe never. But the kind of quiet that comes after a storm, where all that's left is truth, and the painful freedom of finally being alone.